Right, so we are live now. So welcome everybody back to the MC Real Life Chat podcast. Doing something a little bit different today. I've got my friend Lewis and colleague as well, who's been buzzing to come on the show, to be honest. So I thought, you know what, after Jay's interview last week, it'd be perfect timing to get you on. So obviously, again, we're going to really be speaking to like an everyday person about mental health and their experiences with it. So I will hand it over to you, Lewis. You can introduce yourself and then we'll go into questions and stuff.
Oh, what you doing to me, man? Right, so hiya. For anyone that doesn't know, my name's Lewis Walker. Hello, I've come here, you can all worship me. But no, I'm just coming on because, I've been tuning into the podcast, I've been thoroughly enjoying it, and I think that you're talking about stuff that's really important. What I'm going to actually do, by the way, Megan, apologies, I'm going to pull my blinds down because you can't see anything. Is that a wee bit better?
That's better.
Much better, awesome. So my name's Lewis, just coming on the podcast, just because it kind of, it touched a wee bit of something within myself, and I feel like I've maybe got some stuff to share, and if there's anything I can share that's going to help other people out, then that would be magic for me. So, but I'm just buzzing to come on, really enjoying the show, and there we go.
Cool. Right. So obviously Louise has actually said hi. So I just replied to her when you were speaking. So I think obviously, as you've said, with men's mental health recently, I have been hearing stories where men are still really, really struggling. It's not going to be going away anytime soon. I think obviously between obviously me and you, we've both kind of helped each other with mental health, which is why as well I was kind of really excited to have you on. Because everybody, when I went on a podcast as a guest the other day, everyone's like, oh, you're so positive and you're so upbeat, but is that who you are? And I'm like, mate, wait until I've got Lewis on, he'll tell you the complete opposite. So I think, it's not as planned as all the rest of them, because I know, obviously I know a lot more about you, so I know what to kind of divert from. I think obviously the first question that I would ask is, when you did have your kind of mental health break, how did it make you feel, like being kind of like a macho man as such, but knowing that you had to step back?
So, I mean, if I'm honest with Megan, if we're talking about mental health, I'd be here talking to you all day. I mean, see, when you're talking about my break, are you more talking about when I was off my work or?
Yeah. So kind of the point when you thought, because I was exactly the same, that when you get to that point where you think, do you know what, I can't actually do this anymore. I need to take a step back. Oh, I like the mug.
Yes, absolutely. And for anyone else, there you go. There's future prospects for merchandise. So there you go. But I just had to get the mug out for you, so I did. When it comes to sort of mental health, so I mean, the last time I was off, I was off my work for quite a long time, and I think for everybody, this year's been pretty hard, and I took it quite hard myself personally. A lot of stuff going on in my personal life, a lot of stuff from my childhood, but it's not just that, being stuck indoors, and it just exasperates everything, that wee bit much more, and it's not fun. When you're stuck indoors, you can't go anywhere, you can't visit friends, you can't visit family. It just makes it all that wee bit worse, and that's kind of where I found myself last year. And I think kind of how I was feeling last year, I was just like, right, put a pin in it and just get on with it. And I think that's something I've done all of my life, is just, right, stuff it down, just stuff it down. And I think that a lot of other people out there do that as well. And all that happens when you stuff it down and you don't talk about it and you let it build up and build up and build up, it gets to a point where you can't function anymore. And that's the stage that I got to. It was just a case of I didn't enjoy anything. I didn't enjoy watching the telly. I didn't enjoy anything really, even driving, even just going for a drive, which is something I thoroughly enjoyed. I just couldn't get any benefit out of it, and it felt like a chore. Everything I felt like I done was a chore. And I think that once it got to the point where I was like, nah, I need to do something about this, that's when things started to get better. And it was only when I actually decided, right, this is it. It's got to the point now where I can't go on unless I try and get help, that I actually started to get that little bit better. So that's kind of what had happened last year. I think that a lot of people probably empathise with that, because I mean, we're all kind of in the same situation. We've all got our own personal issues going on, but something, I think that after last year especially, I think I'm a much better person for what I went through, even though it's nothing more and nothing less than what anyone else did. But I'm still here. That's the main thing.
Exactly. I think, yeah, like the last year, a lot of people have gone through a lot of different things, you know. So, as I say, you were there to help me when I had my really big kind of breaking point as such. I think obviously just coming back to obviously men's mental health and stuff, I actually heard a really sad story yesterday from somebody that I followed on Instagram that their best friend had committed suicide. Really, he lost his battle with mental health, and you know, it's such a sad thing, and I do kind of want to make awareness obviously about mental health in general, but men's mental health is such a big thing. Like, I think I was looking at statistics, and the rate of guy suicide compared to women's is so much higher. Yeah. And it's because there's this stigma that guys can't have emotions and guys can't feel this way. And, you know, I've even got friends still now, and they're like, do you know what? I'm having a really bad day. And I'm like, do you want to talk about it? No, it's fine. I'm just going to get my head down and get on with it. And I'm like, but you know, sometimes doing that, as you've just said, doesn't work. No. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so I'm kind of working towards bringing mental health awareness around men's mental health as well, because it is such a big thing. So yeah, so obviously I think you watched Summer Jay's podcast last week.
I did, yes, it was good, very good.
Yeah, so I think obviously a lot of stuff was covered in that. The reason that obviously we planned to get you on was to see how you've dealt with it, how you've built resilience with it. So I think, you know, COVID is a big thing. Obviously we've all kind of gone through that. You know, you came back to work. You know, how have you been feeling since coming back to work after having the time off?
Do you want me to be totally honest with you? If anyone knows me, I'm not gonna. I apologise to any listeners that don't like profanity, but I feel fucking fantastic, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I genuinely do. I feel fantastic, and I think that my life has started to. Don't get me wrong. There's things in my life that I need to work on, and I mean, loads of stuff. For example, even just going to the gym, you know, stopping smoking, saving up a bit of money, just that sort of stuff, normal life stuff. But how I'm feeling within myself, I feel. I honestly. I can't lie, I feel great. Like, I feel really good. I feel like my life has, I don't know, it's almost genuinely, it's just like that. My mindset just all of a sudden just switched. And I don't know if it's maybe because I've taken a bit of time out and I've worked on problems that I've had for years and years and years that never really got dealt with. And I don't know what it's been, but, you know, whatever's happened, I feel fantastic. And I mean, like I say, there's things in my life that I wish would go better.
Yes, but of course.
I'm feeling great. Like, genuinely, I feel fantastic, and that's why I love this podcast, because I've come through that, you know. And don't get me wrong, and let's be honest, Megan, and anyone else that's watching that has had mental health issues, whether it be depression or anxiety or any other mental health issues, it doesn't go away. You know, it will come back, but it's all about just been learning how to become resilient. And I think that's kind of what I've learned how to do. And it's not a case of burying it down anymore. It's a case of, right, do you know something? I feel shit, and that's fine, you know?
Yeah. But that's such a big thing, because obviously what I've pretty much said in all of the podcasts, even up to now, is mental illness or mental health it can't always be cured. It's learning how to cope with it on a daily basis. Like, I'm not going to lie. Yes, I come off very positive. After my podcast where I was a guest on Tuesday, Wednesday, I woke up and I was like, I do not want to get out of bed. Like, I was just feeling, and the thing is though, is like, for everybody watching, this is normal. Like, if you feel like one day you get up and you're like, do you know what? I really cannot be bothered to do this, or I really can't be bothered to speak to anyone. It's normal, but don't let it get to the point then that you're completely isolated. You feel horrific in yourself, and then you start thinking of ways to either numb the pain. Like, we've all been there. We've all tried to numb the pain, you know, with things in the moment that I can honestly sit here and say, I'm not proud of things that I've done when I felt so low. Do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, you've probably done things. I know, obviously, we work together. You have a very meaningful tattoo, which I do love.
Indeed. So I'll show you it, but it'll be upside down, guys. I can't twist my arm that way, unfortunately. It's a candle for anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah, so would you explain to people that are watching why you have a candle tattoo?
Yeah, so I think for me, I'll see if I can demonstrate this because I think it's better when you can demonstrate it. Right, there's a lighter. Let's make sure it works. Yep, it works. Fantastic. Right, so all of my life, really, I've kind of struggled with mental health. Now, whether it's been because of, breakups, genetic issues, I can't really put my pin in it. I don't really know what's wrong. I think it's just something that's not quite right with my psychological makeup, and I think that a lot of people out there are like that. But I think that for me, when things get dark, it's almost like a wallow in it, and it's strange as anything because I don't know if anyone else can kind of empathise with this, but although you don't want to feel like that, and although it is the worst place you can ever be in, you love it. And it's horrible to say because it feels awful. It does. It truly feels awful. And it's almost like an addiction feeling shit. When you feel shit, it feels like an addiction because when you don't have that, what do you have? You don't have any excuse for feeling the way you're feeling. You just sit there and you make yourself feel awful. And I think that for a long, long, long time, I built this big wall up around myself, and it was feeling rubbish, and I would put this mask on. Megan, you'll know yourself for working with me, and I've got a mask that I put on, and I put it on with pretty much everyone. And sorry for any of my friends or family that's watching this. I'm sorry the way I'm acting. That's a mask, mate. I'm sorry. You don't know me. You don't know me, mate.
It's a big lie.
I know. I don't worry. I'm not a serial killer or anything like that. By the way, nothing like that. But I think that when it comes to sort of mental health, it's something that we do. It's almost like a safety net that we've got. But so the whole thing of the tattoo come around. Sorry, I'm diverging here, but
You're okay.
The whole thing with the sort of tattoo come in because I was in therapy for a many number of years with a guy called Michael Moss. If anyone's interested in any stuff, then have a wee look online. Just type in Mike Moss, The Fifth Wave. Absolutely phenomenal. And his wee case study on there, I'm Jane, by the way, in case anyone does want to look it up. But pretty much what Mike done with myself is Mike was all about metaphors and walking through things, using metaphors, whether it be tangerine segments or could be anything at all. Mike would turn it into something. And I think with Mike, he helped me kind of understand myself because he knew how my brain worked from working with each other for years, growing up when I was like 13, 14, this is when I started seeing Mike, so he got to know me as I was growing into an adult. And I think that he started to understand the way that my brain worked and the way that I perceive things. And that was hugely beneficial for me, finding someone that truly could help. But I think that the whole thing with the tattoo, it really did come out of the whole metaphor thing. So I come across a quote one day. It's by St. Francis of Assisi. The quote goes, "No amount of darkness can extinguish the light of a single flame." So essentially, as long as you've got that little flicker of light within you, you can see your way. You'll be absolutely fine and dandy, pal.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that's illuminated with me. And a thing that I done, it sounds strange as anything, that I was away to Romania a little while ago, quite a few years ago, met a great number of great friends over there. But what I done is, I was half cut most of the time. I was absolutely steaming most of the time. But in my sort of, intoxicated state, I would draw these little candles and I would give them to people and be like, aye, that's just to keep the light there, just while I'm away. Because I could see that there's a couple of people over there that needed that light. And I gave someone over there, I gave them a lighter, right? And this was just such a silly thing. And for me, right, so there's a lighter, right? And there's a lighter that's not been lit, right? See if you've got that flame and someone else doesn't have that flame. All it takes is for you to go like that and you can brighten their day. No, I mean, and that is what it is for me, is that as long as I've got that candle and I've got that little bit of light there with me all the time, I'll be fine. Yeah. And I'll not just be fine, I'll maybe be able to bring a little bit of light to someone else's life. So that's what I like. So that's the candle.
Yeah, so obviously a little friend put on here, we all care, Lewis. Big hugs. Miriam over there.
Cheers, Miriam.
We've got quite a few people watching, so I think obviously I remember you telling me this tattoo story when I was very, very low, and I think we had this discussion a lot because coming back to the whole mask thing, I think me and you resonate quite well because we both are very similar with how we are with our masks on. We're very upbeat and we're always smiling and trying to make everybody else happy. But we also resonate in the dark times, that we know what it's like to be there. I think, I have wrote it down, Mike Moss, just so I can put it
there you go
on the thing at the end, so just in case anybody wants to look into it. But I think, a lot of people who have mental health, like time off work and stuff, the first initial thing is anxiety about coming back, which, I personally did have. Like, I the same as you, as soon as I came back from that break, I felt so refreshed. I felt so good, keeping everything monitored and stuff. But I think, what would your kind of advice be as somebody who's had time off work, going back into work, that initial anxiety of going back? What advice would you give to somebody?
So I think the biggest thing for me, first of all, it starts right from when you start going off of work. And this is something that I personally found, is that, you get your time off work, and almost immediately you're thinking, oh, what the consequence is going to be for this? Oh, am I going to lose my job? Oh my goodness, are they going to, they're going to sanction me? What are they going to do? Stop it. Straight away, stop it. Because at the end of the day, you're not off because you're skiving, pal. That's it. That's what it comes down to. You're not off because you're skiving. If you had broken your leg, would you be expected to walk yourself into work? No, of course not. So why should you be expected to go into your work when you are not mentally able to do so? And I think that that's the first thing that people need to realise, is that, listen, it's okay. It's absolutely fine. The fact is, you're off for a reason. And that's okay. And that was the biggest thing for me. I had to, it was about 3 counselling sessions I had just to come over the fact that, I'm off my work. Oh, what am I going to do? And and it's a thing that we do. And I don't know what it is about human beings. We always think about the man, we think about the people that we're affecting. But in reality, we don't look on ourselves and we don't say, well, how's this affecting me? How is this actually going to affect me if I decide to go back to my work? And I think that was the first hurdle that I come across. And I think that while I was off my work, I did get help, trying a different couple of stuff, and it was tough. It was a tough time, but at the same time, I was working on myself. I was seeing family, and I was seeing my girlfriend, seeing my wee Doug, my wee puppy, and that really helped. And I think that it just had that little bit of time to work on myself. It really went far and allowed me to kind of work on how I was going to actually get back into the work. And I think that when it comes to coming back into work, I just kind of knew, I don't know if it's because I had the benefit of it being around about New Year time, but as soon as it was New Year time, I was thinking to myself, well, my sick line runs out on, I think it was about the 10th or the 11th of January. Someone check that for me, because I'm probably wrong. But I think it was the 10th or the 11th of January. And, I just thought, aye, Monday, let's do it. And that's just the mindset I had, is just fuck it, let's do it, and I'm so glad that I done that, because I think the thing with anxiety is, I'll give you another example, Megan. Sorry to steal your podcast, but
no, you're fine. That's the whole point of having you on.
About half an hour ago, I was sitting out the back of my house having a cigarette, thinking to myself, "Oh, should I just tell Megan I'm not coming on?" Oh, because I was anxious. I was anxious. I didn't want to come on because I thought, I'm going to be on here with people and they're going to learn about me, and I was anxious. But then I thought to myself, nah, fuck it, come on, let's do it. It'll be a laugh. Come on, and I done it. And I think that's the thing with anxiety, is it stops you from doing things that you would genuinely enjoy doing. And I think that when it comes to anxiety, do you know something? Put it like this: worst case scenario, what's going to happen? Worst case scenario for me coming on here, for example, right? Everybody finds out that I'm a mad cunt and never likes me again, blocks me off everything, and that's the worst case scenario for me. But best case scenario, I come on here and someone maybe takes something away from it. So
well, there's a few comments that came up when you were speaking. So we've got Morgan saying, "Brilliant, Lewis, doing so well, mate." We've got Danielle, who can check if your sick line was in January. Saying great advice. We have Jay Haston as well. Hi, Jay, saying just great awareness and bravo for obviously speaking out about it. And let's have a look. We've got someone else just saying, hey, who's joining. So there is a lot of people who are saying good advice. They're not saying that you're mad with it or anything like that, right? But yeah, Danielle, if you can check his sick line and let us know.
I promise you I wasn't skiving me. I promise you.
But yeah, so I think again, you know, anxiety is such a big thing that a lot of people do have. And as you say, with anxiety, it stops you from doing things. Like, I'll be honest, right? I had that bungee jump when I went away last year, and the anxiety on me was through the roof, right? I was bricking it, to put it politely. And see, after I did it, the adrenaline was amazing, and I could actually say, do you know what, I've done it. Do you know what I mean? Yes, worst case scenario, the cord could have snapped and I could have died, but that's a bit extreme.
You'd have been dead like that though, Megan.
Exactly.
You'd have been dead like that. So who cares?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, obviously we all care. Well, obviously, I'm not saying nobody cares if you fucking die, but you know, obviously we all care. But I think so. That's another great example, Megan. It's something that you really wanted to do, and you went and done it. You know, your anxiety maybe would have stopped you, but you said, "No, do you want to know something? Fuck it." And you know, and it's a really awesome example, mate, because I think that too many of us stop ourselves from doing things, even if it's just getting out of bed in the morning to get a shower, even if it's just that, because they can't face looking at themselves in the mirror. There's a lot of people out there. I've been there myself. You know, I think that it's just a case of, do you know something? Just do it.
Yeah. And I think, do you know what, that to me was obviously a literal thing, but even if you think of the metaphor of it, you are jumping into the unknown by breaking out of anxiety, right? Danielle's just sent loads of laughing faces. We've got obviously Stefan saying he's got social anxiety. I know a lot of people who have this, you know, where you cannot step foot out the house, or you can't speak to people. Obviously, in our job, we kind of have to speak to people on a daily basis. But personally, would you say that you've ever kind of dealt with social anxiety, or?
So I don't think I wouldn't say I've got social anxiety in the same way that a lot of people that actually have social anxiety, you know, they experience those symptoms. But I mean, don't get me wrong, like on a daily basis, like when we used to go into work, I'm thinking to myself, oh, is the mask going to slip today? Or, you know, that's the sort of thing that I would think about, is that, well, you know, how, if I mess up my words, is a customer going to say something? Or if I say something, is someone going to take me up on that and, you know, go off their nut? Or, you know, those sort of things are constantly playing in my mind, and I think that's a symptom of just having anxiety. But I wouldn't say I've got social anxiety to the stage that, you know, I don't feel comfortable approaching people. And
of course, I
think that the reason that I am comfortable doing that is because I do have this mask. You know, I do have this mask on. And I mean, Danielle, that we had just commented there, you know, she became a leader, you know, only just a few weeks back, and never met her before in my life, didn't know who she was. And I was like, I was happening. Didn't know who she was. She might have said, oh, your attitude is stinking, boy. That's dreadful. That's it. You're going away to a hearing right now. But no, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's a case of, well, if you don't push yourself, you know, you'll never jump, you'll never do it.
Exactly.
And I think that that's where the mask is very beneficial for me personally. But at the same time, I need to take that mask off sometimes and let people see, you know, and let people understand. And I think it's important to have like the sort of best of both worlds. But to answer your question, overall, I wouldn't say I do have social anxiety.
Okay. Well, our work mama, Kez, said, proud of you for opening up, Lewis, beating the stigma. Did you just
I think I nearly did spill my coffee. That's on my new t-shirt, by the way, guys, in my new stuff. But
we will get to that. We will.
No, don't you worry. No, I was just really worried because I'm enjoying my coffee, but I will.
So Stefan, to come back to you, obviously we have our podcast next Thursday, so we'll go into social anxiety and bipolar then. Miriam said that she totally agrees, and then Stefan put the mask rocks. I think, do you know what, a lot of people nowadays do have a mask just to get through everyday life, right? But it is so important, as you say, to sometimes let it slip. Like, to be fair, I am probably one of the worst people to say you need to let your mask slip, because I try so hard to keep my mask on 24/7, because I don't want people to feel sorry for me or to see the pain that I'm feeling, because I am too busy trying to help other people. But at the same time, sorry, Stefan just put Fallout 4 in the background. Nice. So I think, you know, the mask is a big thing, and it is really, really important to anybody to, if you feel so low, you need to let the mask drop to let people help you. obviously, I know I was going to come to it anyway. Lewis has actually made a TikTok page and a YouTube page, I think, as well.
YouTube's not really taken off as much as I would like, but one day, maybe in a couple of years' time, maybe. But TikTok's doing well at the moment. I think the thing is for me, the TikTok, it's really just a hobby, just kind of keep my mind busy. It's a good laugh. It's a good laugh, and making the videos is good fun. But I started doing it. I think it was about a month ago now. So thoroughly enjoying it.
Guys, if you have TikTok and you want to look at it, it's called Some Sort of Sponge, am I right?
Some sort of sponge, absolutely.
Right.
If MD knows me, then fucking some sort of sponge, mate. That's the one. But
he's just funny. He's just your average Scottish lad, right? He's just your average Scottish lad taking the out of everything. So I'll put. Let's have a look. So someone just asked for the username, so I'm just going to put it in there. So I think this might be one of your pals. Keep going, bro.
Cheers, Dev, mate. Cheers, bro.
Kez has put sponge. But no, definitely have a look at them, right? I swear, if you feel low and you watch one of those videos, you will be howling by the end of the night. Howling. But I think, this has been Mental Health Awareness Week. Obviously, that is coming to an end. That does not mean that mental health awareness stops. It just means that it's not on the media as such anymore. But that's why I'm here. But no, I think with everything that's kind of gone on this week, it doesn't matter if you there's so many different types of mental illness. It might seem that I only really discuss anxiety and depression. I know there are loads, right? But I think anxiety and depression can be one of the biggest killers with people. And I think, it is really, really important. And everybody keeps saying it, is that if you feel bad, you need to speak out. From a guy's point of view, right? How hard was it for you to speak out to somebody?
Originally, very difficult. And, this is going back to when I was a child. I was 13, 14 years old. And, oh boy, it was tough, and obviously I'm not wanting to, tell anyone about it, specific people make anyone feel rubbish. But I remember one of the first people I come out and approached, it's almost like it was a denial thing, because it was a member of the family. It was a denial thing. And it was almost like, no, my family member's not got it. They've not got depression, and it was tough. And even going to the doctors, and I don't know how it's like now, but even try to go and get help when I actually did feel like I needed help. So when I was leaving school, this was probably about 5 years ago or so, when I was leaving school, and just between the sort of period between school and university, I wasn't great. I wasn't great at all. I didn't have anything to spend my time on. I was pretty horrible, spending most of the time by myself. And excuse me, sorry, I've got the hiccups. And it's sorry, Trips. And I remember I went to the NHS, and the doctor basically put me towards getting a psychiatric evaluation. So you sit down, and I remember it, but I still remember, because I was 17, 18 years old, and I was sitting down, and these people were analysing me, asking me these questions, and I just didn't really feel like they were listening to me, and I genuinely didn't. And it was about 4 weeks later I received a letter from the psychiatric ward in St John's Hospital in Livingston, and they pretty much told me I was bored. They said that there was nothing wrong with me, and about a year and a half later, I nearly killed myself. So I think that when it comes to spreading the awareness and trying to get people to speak out, it's so important. But at the same time, I think that this is where the work that Jay is doing, for example, it is so important, because people sometimes, even when they try and get help, they just can't get it. And especially in Scotland, and I don't know what the rest of the UK is like, but especially in Scotland, mental health and suicide rate for men in Scotland is the highest in Europe, and it's awful. It is absolutely awful. I've known people that have committed suicide. There was a person from Whitburn, rest them, but Billy Fleming from Whitburn. Anyone that's watching that's from Whitburn, or even West Lothian in general, you'll know Billy. He's away, and it's awful. And I think the thing is that these people, you know, myself included, we try and get help, and sometimes it just doesn't work. And I think that that's why it is so important for anyone that is watching that thinks that your family member's going through something, or, you know, even if you're going through something, speak to your friends, speak to your family. You know, you don't need to go to the doctors, for example. You just need to talk. And as soon as you start to talk, it does start to get better, because people are there for you. You know, your friends, your family, everyone cares for you. And I think that's the most important thing. But I think from my experience, when I was very young, I ended up being very lucky, and I got a counsellor that I spent my time with, you know, 2-3 times a week for years. And that was great for me. It was fantastic for me. But at the same time, it was tough because I was in school. I was getting taken out of my classes to go to counselling sessions. And, you know, it was tough because, you know, my friends were like, oh, I feel like, what's going on? Is he all right? Is he not all right? And obviously that makes my anxiety go through the roof as well, because I don't want people to think that I'm not doing well. And, you know, it's tough, but at the same time, that's that mask. You know, that's that mask that you just need to take off, and it's okay to talk to your friends. It's okay to speak to people. And you know, but I mean, for me, it was quite tough, you know, especially being young. I hope that it's improved now. I really do, because that was quite a while ago now. But, you know, from my own experience, I think that things really need to be improved, whether it's through NHS or, you know, even just the stigma in general. I think it needs to be sorted out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously Kez puts this a lot on my podcast, this is what has helped me. It's okay not to be okay. And, you know, that is a really small statement, but means such a big thing. Like when I came back from obviously my sick time, I used to get these bracelets, right? And they're called socks. Wait a minute. There we go, right? But they come with a little card with them, but they have messages on them. Right?
That's pretty cool.
So I got this one, and then I got, because I'm a stresshead, I got today I will not worry, right? And as daft as it sounds, right, I haven't got them on now, obviously, but as daft as it sounds, you know, if I'm feeling really rubbish, I'll put them on, and I don't know what it is. I think it's just the thought of me having something that has that message on it makes me feel better. But yeah, Jay Haston that I had on before, yes, he does an absolutely amazing job. For anybody who hasn't already liked his page, he has got a page called Ace Awareness, which is really, really good. I'm currently in the process of becoming part of a WhatsApp group to help people who are struggling mentally and need somebody to talk to. And as well, obviously, I have my regular podcast on a Sunday starting from next week. To be a guest to actually discuss my mental health. So, but yeah, so I think, you know, for anybody who knows you, you know, you are this bubbly person. Would you say that the mask is more for you, or would you say it's more for other people not to worry about you?
So if I'm honest with you, that's a bit of a tough question, because I think it's a little bit of both. I think that when it comes to the mask, it's almost like that little bit of security for myself, because without that mask, what am I? You know, I'm going to be this this dreary sort of mopey. Like, who am I without this mask? Like, who am I? And I think that's tough, because then an anxiety that I have personally, you know, if I don't have that mask on, you know, I'm not putting that sort of face on that I'm happy and I'm feeling good and, you know, things are going great. I think that I'm wondering what someone else is going to be thinking. They're going to be thinking, oh shit, he's not doing very well, or, you know, there's something not quite right with Lewis today. We maybe go and have to talk to him, and then I don't want to talk to them about it. And I think I think it's probably for me, most of it is for me. But I think that when it comes from other people, I don't know. It's almost like I don't want to like put my stuff onto someone else, and I think that's another thing that I don't know. If it's something that any women that experience this, but I know that from a man's point of view, when I'm feeling shit, I don't really want to put my stuff onto you, because I feel like I'm putting that pressure onto you. And do you want me to be totally honest with you? I don't know if she's watching, but my girlfriend Naomi, I mean, if she's watching just now, sometimes I won't talk to Naomi, and that's wrong, because if I'm feeling shit, Naomi will be able to tell what's wrong with me. She can tell just by looking at me there's something wrong. But I think that it's so important to speak and if you don't speak, then where does it leave you? It leaves you with that mask on, but you're sitting there hurting behind it, and you've not got that support there. So I think that to kind of answer that question, I think it's a bit of both, but ultimately it does come back on myself.
Yeah, so I know I briefly did say that I was going to ask a question about how it affected, obviously, Naomi and your family as well, I think, because, you know, I know you got the puppy, which has obviously helped make you, you know, upbeat again, which is nice to see. But obviously, when you were feeling quite low, how do you think it made Naomi feel? Because obviously, a lot of people in here have partners that don't know how to help, or what kind of things. If Naomi did things, what kind of things do you think would help somebody in that position?
I mean, I can't really say how she felt, but I can imagine how she felt. She probably felt like, oh, what can I do? You know, she probably felt quite vulnerable, you know, because, you know, I'm a boyfriend, you know, I'm a partner, and, you know, but I'm wanting to be spending the rest of my life with her, and, you know, I'm hoping that she feels the same with me, and, you know, but I can imagine that she probably felt really horrible, you know, that she felt like really, really dreadful. And I think that the biggest thing that sometimes I was feeling is that I didn't really want to talk about it. But do you want me to be honest? And this is me taking away for the big macho, you know, big ginger bearded cunt, you know, this is me taking away from it entirely. Do you want me to be totally honest with you? I think that when I was feeling low, I just wanted a fucking cuddle. I did. Like, I just wanted a fucking cuddle, man. And, you know, I still feel like that. And, you know, I think that when your partner is feeling like that, and I think it's just important to be there for them, even if they don't want to talk, just be there, because having you there, you know, it speaks words without them being spoken. You know, it's like an unspoken thing, you know. And I think that just being there for them is the most important thing, even if they don't want to talk about it. Because then, if I'm being totally honest with you, if they don't want to talk about it to you, they're probably not going to talk to anyone about it. So, you know, just be there for them, give them a cuddle, you know, tell them that you love them, and that's really what it's all about. Just show that you're there.
Yeah, and I think obviously, Stefan, with your message here, no partnership at the moment for me, because you need to work on yourself and divorce and stuff. To be completely honest, I've been single now for a month, right? I am not going to lie to you. It is literally the best thing that has ever happened to me, and I can sit here and say that because since I've been out of a relationship, you know, I've started working on myself again, and for anyone who's close to me will know my mental health has gone so much better since being single. You know, my partner at the time didn't understand my mental health, which Lewis knows on a number of occasions when we had to talk at like midnight because I needed somebody to vent to. And, you know, so sometimes partnerships can work. Sometimes it's better to do it alone, to be honest. But yeah, obviously, it's the best to help yourself. Yeah, like I think, as Lewis said at the very
Stefan, by the way, Megan, just to
yeah, go on. No, you're okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, sorry, Megan. I was just going to mention to Stefan there. You know, I think that, I mean, I don't know how you're feeling, buddy, and I think that it's obviously, if you're feeling a bit rubbish, then that's pretty rubbish, mate. But at the same time, like, if you've got any friends, you've got any family, just talk, mate. If you need to talk, then talk. And I think that's really the most important thing, is that it doesn't matter if you've got a girlfriend or you've got a boyfriend or, you know, you've got a dog, you've not got a dog. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you know, as long as you speak out, and that support network is really what's important. And if you've got anyone in your life that's going through something, then be there for them, because all it takes is one person to make the difference. So that's what I would say to yourself, buddy.
Yeah. And as I say, like, everybody can be there for you, right? Everybody can be there. Like, I know obviously the WhatsApp group isn't public yet, so I can't obviously give the name of that to you guys yet. But my MC Real Life chat page has an inbox that comes straight to me. And you know, again, with other things, I have my own TikTok for the MC Real Life chat thing that has regular, like, short 60-second clip bits of what's happening. But I think, going back to what you said at the very beginning, Lewis, I've just completely lost my train of thought. Oh, I hate when that happens. I
know. It's all good, mate. It's all good. I think we've got a bit of delay, by the way, Megan. I think we're like kind of cutting in between each other.
Oh,
can you hear me?
What was it? I can hear you, yeah. What was I going to say?
Right. I've got a wee bit of delay.
Yeah, I think so. Do you know what? It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. So Babs has put 100% so true, Lewis. I honestly can't, for the life of me, remember what I was going to say.
It'll come back to you, mate. Do you want me to tell you something? If you can't remember, it was obviously a load of shite, so that's fine. Bye.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? Honestly, I had it right there and then it disappeared. Right. Anyway, we'll skip. Has anybody got any questions that they would like to ask? Because I've just been rambling on, to be honest. Obviously, while I let people type away if they have any, I think obviously the kind of mental health aspect, even with family members, it actually quite upset me to hear that you had gone through that with doctors and they had turned around to you and said that there was nothing wrong. Because I'm not going to lie, a girl can go to the doctors and say that she's depressed and all this, and they'll be like, okay, well, what do you want us to do? Like, what can we do to help? I remember having to go to the doctors when I was 16 with my mum, and while my mum was sat there, they were like, so why are you here today? I was like, well, I think I've got a bit of anxiety and depression. Well, what makes you think that? Well, I actually tried to kill myself, right? In front of my mum. And they're like, we can't give you anything because it can make you worse. So that's what I was going to lead on from. So obviously I've had antidepressant tablets. A lot of people have antidepressant tablets, but it doesn't always work for everybody. Obviously not trying to pry. What I would just say is, if you have had experience with antidepressants, how have they affected you?
So myself personally, I mean, I was on antidepressants there for a little while, and I think that for most of my life, I was against antidepressants because myself personally, I just didn't think that's what I needed. And, I'm not going to touch on it, but, I think there's a lot of stuff in my childhood that, in my adolescent years that was wrong. And I couldn't really talk about them at the time, just because I was still living with my mum and, stuff just going on in general. But, I couldn't really talk about them and I didn't want to, speak out about them. So I think that was really what was truly wrong with me. It was a lot of those stuff that I'd harboured for years and I never really got resolved. And that's what I had in my mind when I was going through the sort of counselling and, getting the help that I needed. But I think that, a few months ago, back in October, when I did go off my work, I ended up going to the doctors and that's all they done. They just said, right, there's tablets, go and take them. And I was like, right, okay, we'll get them a try. The first lot of tablets they gave me was citalopram. And I have to be totally honest with you, they did not agree with me at all. I felt like I was constantly having an anxiety attack. My heart was constantly bursting out my chest. And it was like heart palpitations, I constantly felt like my chest was going to explode. And that's okay. Yeah. That's something that happens with some people with citalopram. So, I spoke to the doctors. That was after about 3-4 weeks of using them. And I spoke to the doctors again. Right, okay, we'll try you on sertraline. So, 100 milligrams of sertraline. There you go. Tried that for months, about 2 months I tried that for. And nah, no difference at all. I still felt just as bad. I was going to therapy in the meantime while getting the antidepressants. And that, when I was going through the therapy, that's when I started really talking about stuff that I'd held in for so many years. And I think that's when I really, truly did start to get that little bit of help and that little bit of sort of relief that I needed. But I still kept taking the sertraline. I've just kept on taking it. And if I'm being totally honest with you, it did not do anything for me. If anything, I felt like it gave me sore heads when I didn't take them. This was after months of taking them as well. So this was after about 3-4 months of taking them, and I had no difference whatsoever. I didn't feel any different. The only difference that I had is if I forgot to take them one day, and it got from I usually took them in the morning. So if it got until like sort of dinner time, my head would be pounding, and I would start to be feeling fluish. And as soon as I took it, it would go away. So it's withdrawal. And I think that other than that, that's the only difference I really noticed with them. So myself personally, I stopped taking them. And do you want to know something? That's okay. And I think that for me personally, they just didn't really work for me. And that's okay. That's fine. Yep. And I think that for a lot of people that does happen. But at the same time, for a lot of other people, I really should have consulted the doctor, if I'm honest with you. You should have done the same as well if you didn't already do so. But Yeah, but I think the thing is that, you know, you can get help in a whole number of different ways. You don't need to go and take some medication, you know, you don't need to do that. You don't even need to talk to someone if you don't want to. You know, if medication's the way that you want to go, then, you know, if the doctor agrees with you, then batter in. End of the day, talk to your doctor, talk to the people that are the experts, because I'm not an expert, I'll tell you now. I probably should have went straight to the doctor when I thought about stopping them. I felt like I had the fucking flu for about a week after I took them. But the thing is, you know, it just affects people differently, and that's myself. That's how it affected me. So if you feel like you're different from anyone else that's taking them, that's completely normal. That's just what happens. These types of medications, they work differently for every person. At the end of the day, you've not got the same. I've not got the same brain as you do. So why would they work the same as what they do for you? You know, so that's really what I would say about antidepressants. They personally just don't work for myself.
Yeah. So again, Danielle's put, I'm on sertraline, worked for me. Like I was on 150 milligrams of sertraline, right? And to be honest, I've been off them since actually my relationship finished, right? And I've not needed them once. And even people, like, I've not seen my mum in 2 years, right? Because of obviously the relationship and everything that happened. I didn't see my mum. I saw my mum obviously when I came back 2 weeks after. She was like, you're like a completely different person. What is going on? And sometimes that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you're so deep into something that until you're out of it, you don't realize what's been going on. We do have a question from Stefan saying, does Lewis know the journey he's been on, and what would you change in the system? So with what the journey that you've been on, what would you change about the system?
Oh, how long you got? I think the thing is, when it comes to the sort of stuff that's happening at the moment, it's a tough one, because, you know, we really need change from above, and it needs to be global as well. We're slowly starting to see that, but I think my biggest thing is that it's Mental Health Week, that like you're saying there. So it's Mental Health Awareness Week this week, like you were saying, Megan. And at the end of the day, that's fantastic. That's great. Ultimately, it shouldn't matter. Every single day, every single year should be Mental Health Awareness Day. And it's a case of, well, do you know something? There's a problem. Let's fucking fix it. And I think that, especially in Scotland, I think that we're starting to see change, and whether it just be community, you know, people in the community are starting to really understand that, do you want to know something? This isn't just him being lazy. This isn't just him not getting out of his bed. It's not just him that's not tidying up his room. Do I me tell you something? This boy's fucking ill. There's something wrong with him. Right, come on, let's go and get help. And I think that it's starting to get out that, you know, when you're feeling like that, and when your family are feeling like that, I think that people are starting to recognise that it is a problem. Like I said before, I mean, if I took fuck's sake, touch wood, if I took a heart attack tomorrow, it would be treated completely differently than from, just say, I tried to kill myself. You know, I would get sectioned if I tried to kill myself. You know, I potentially might get put into a fucking mental health hospital, you know, and that's wrong. Yep. That is wrong, because at the end of the day, it should be treated the exact same. And do you want me to be totally honest with you, Megan? I think that something that really resonated with me last week, that Jay, so I mean, myself personally, there's been never been any sort of substance abuse in my life, but I think what Jay was mentioning earlier on about the sort of, you know, drug epidemic that's going on in Scotland, especially, you know, one of the worst in Europe. I think we are the worst in Europe, actually, for drug deaths, and that's telling you that there's a problem. And at the end of the day, you don't see someone taking heroin out of nowhere. That's happened because there's been a certain level of events that get someone to that stage. Yeah. And that is what we need to get to, is the root of that problem, whether it is child abuse, whether it is just being brought up in a terrible area, you know, people not talking about their mental health issues, just stuffing them down and taking themselves to drink and then taking drugs. And, you know, this is what we really need to get to, is the root of the problem. And I think that, I mean, drugs aside, it's something that we all need to talk about more. You know, we just need to be honest. And I mean, that's why I was really excited when you invited me onto the podcast today, Megan, because, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if I'm just your average guy, you know, there's nothing special about me, you know, just your average guy, you know, ugly looking fucker, just for Whitburn, you know, just what I'm. But at the end of the day, it's a case of well, I'm just your average person, so how's everyone else feeling? You know, and I think that if everyone starts to speak and if everyone tells their story, I think that's when we will start to see change, is then when people start to speak out and talk about how they feel, rather than even just me coming on here today, or even Jay. You know, I mean, the work Jay's doing is amazing. Even the work that you're doing, Megan, you know, doing this podcast, it's amazing. But we need more people just to come forward and say, well, do you want to know something? I've had a pretty shit time in my life. I nearly tried to kill myself. I feel like this every single day. Tell us, just talk to us, mate, because you're not alone. You're the one that's going through it. But at the same time, I might be going through it. You might be going through it. You know, I think that's what I would change overall, is that the stigma and, you know, when it comes to how the people start to recognise what's going on, I think that that's what really needs to change. And it is, like I said, it is changing slowly, but until it happens and until people start to speak, it's not going to change. And have to remember, when it comes to, you know, government policies, anything like that at all, if you don't agree with what Labour's doing, or the Tories, or, you know, SNP, whoever it may be, if you don't agree with them, that's where it comes from the people. You need to elect someone that's going to make a change, whether it's going to be the Green Party, SNP, whether it be Scottish Labour, Scottish Conservatives, whoever it's going to be. If you feel like they're going to make a change, then do you want to know something? Go out to the fucking poll and vote for them, because that's what we need. We need people from the community that's coming out and actually getting this changed.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think when kind of coming to change, obviously I only started this podcast like a month ago, guys, and the reason as to why was because, at the same in Lewis, we are average people who have been through a lot of shit, to be honest, a lot of crap. And you know, every time I get somebody on, I learn something myself that I take away from it. And obviously, even though you're a friend, you know, you have helped me a lot, you know, and, you know, a lot of people, like even Stefan saying, you're awesome, mate. Like everybody knows you're such a good, like a nice guy. And I think when it comes to changing and stuff, I think one thing I'm thinking of doing, just as like a little announcement, guys, with obviously COVID, we've all been really isolated. I am actually gonna, fingers crossed, do a pub quiz at the end of June to raise money for the Samaritans, right? Because I looked on the Samaritans website and they do like fundraising. So you basically fundraise your own stuff, you send them the profits, you know, you send all that. This is going to be a complete charity pub quiz, right? So if you want to join, I've not looked into the ins and outs of it yet, but it will be for charity. None of it goes to me. I'm just going to do it as like an overall, like we all get together, we all have a drink, we all have a laugh, you know, we all have a good time, but we're also raising money to get people more support that they need. So I think that's going to be a big plan. I just need to look into it. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. That's certainly something I would come on there. If no one else knows, then I'll take any excuse to have a drink, to be honest with you. But you know, it sounds amazing, mate. I would certainly be more than happy to pay, you know, by any sort of money you're wanting for admission to, as long as we're kind of raising it for charity. So that sounds amazing. And, you know, I'll mention it to a couple of other people, and I'm sure that they would be buzzing to be coming on as well. So
I don't know if it'll be the same setup as this, because as I say, I've not 100% looked into it yet, because I need to look at how the Samaritans fundraisers work and obviously how to join up and stuff. But yeah, even if I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be just like an overall admission or I'm just going to do it donation based, because I know everybody, you know, we've all gone through financial struggle in the last year, and I don't want to put anybody out or make anybody feel like they have to pay to be a part of it. I probably will just do it as a donation. Kind of come, like you can come, you don't have to donate, but if you can donate, then that would be great. But yeah, I am looking at a lot of stuff. I am also going to be getting Jay back at some point, so maybe what I could do is get you and Jay on the same call and have, you know, like a conversation. It depends if Jay is up for putting up with me, Megan, if I'm honest with you. That sounds good. I think I briefly had a chat with him anyway, because I know he's really busy at the moment, but he said that he would come back on. But I think, you know, even having a conversation, you know, coming back to the stigma of men's mental health with you, who's the average Joe, and Jay, who obviously is making so many amazing changes in Scotland. Like, I think it'd be a really good thing to do. Stefan, thank you. Obviously, pub quiz, I'd be up for that. I'd pay. As I say, I am going to get as much information as I can before I post it on the page. But yeah, as Lewis said, it's an excuse to drink and have fun and come together as a group, because I know like we've not all done that. And I'm not going to lie to you, right? I am rubbish at pub quizzes, so I will be a great host because I don't have to join in. But yeah, I think I'll look more into it. Lewis, I do want to like get you back on at some point, obviously after some other things that I'm doing. I know you're happy with anything, so we can sort that out anyway. Obviously, to kind of wrap it up, what would you say is the main kind of message that you would like to leave people with? Because we have like 4 or 5 minutes left.
I think that the last thing that I would really kind of want to tell people is that I've come on here just because I'm just your average person, and Megan's your average person, and at the end of the day, that's all it takes is to maybe influence someone. And whether you are all feeling great, fantastic. I really hope all of you are. But if there's anyone out there that's watching this that's not feeling so great, if I can come on here and just share just a little bit, just a little bit about me, that I've had these issues, and all these other people have had these issues too. It's all right. It's fine. And let me tell you something. Know that it's normal. It's not normal, and that's okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You're feeling rubbish. So if you need to go and get help, go and get a wee bit of help, because all it takes is just someone to pick up the phone. Listen, Mr. Doctor, I would like some tablets, or I would like to speak to someone. That's all it takes. Or even, pick up the phone and speak to your mum, speak to your dad, speak to your best friend, speak to your girlfriend, speak to your boyfriend, speak to someone, because if you don't speak to someone, then it's just going to build up till it gets to a point. And, I know myself personally from, attempting suicide in the past, it can get to that point. But as long as you're talking, you're still about. And I think the last thing that I really would kind of say to everyone is that, no amount of darkness can extinguish the light of a single flame. And that's pretty much all for me.
Yeah. Well, as I say, it's been obviously great having you on and having you explain so many things. Yes. I'm not going to lie, guys. Your girlfriend's come on. She's just put two blue hearts.
Oh,
hi, Naomi.
There's my wee dog for anyone that's watching. That's my wee dog.
Right, let me put the comment back up. That's his little dog, right? It's Cooper, right?
That's my wee dog.
Yeah.
It's Copper. Yeah, Copper.
Copper. I thought it was Copper, but I was like, I don't want to get this wrong, but I got it wrong anyway. I think obviously for everybody.
You got it wrong.
I did. I think for everybody, I'm not going to lie. I've had counselling. I've had CBT. I've had tablets. I've had all sorts. I've even got books and books and books about anxiety and depression. Everybody's different, as Lewis put it. And yeah, I think obviously he's been great on here. Naomi, you've got a good one. You've got to get in. No, but as I say, I'd love to have you back on. I'll probably speak to Jay in a couple of weeks anyway to see about getting him back on. We'll sort something. I'll let everybody know about the pub quiz. I'll try and get it arranged and on the page as soon as I can. I think obviously for myself, again, Lewis, thank you very much for coming on. And I know we both had a lot of chat. But yeah, as he said, we're average people, guys. We have average people problems. But yeah, it's so important, guys, to speak out, right? Please do not let yourself get into that dark hole and not have any help. My messages are always open on the page. Even if you want to message the personal page, that's fine. I'll pick it up. Not going to lie, I'm not a complete mental health trained person. But if you need somebody to listen to you and to talk to you, then I will help as much as I can or lead you in the right direction to do so. But apart from that, I will let you go, right? Okay, thank you, everybody, for joining. I hope to see you all next Thursday when we speak to Stefan about bipolar and other social anxiety and stuff. Yeah, and I hope everybody has a lovely rest of their Sunday. All right.
Thanks again. Thanks again for having me on, Megan. See you later.
Oh, no worries. Bye.